All right. All right, all right, all right. Okay. Now I gotta do the promotion shit. I don't know. I'm not sure if I leave StreamYard on my I'm on my phone with this, which is not normal, but I'll explain that in a minute for those of you on the rewatch. So if I get kicked out of my own stream, you'll I'll explain why. Da, 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 da. All right, can I just find my own stream on YouTube? Is that acceptable? Doing this on my phone. Ah, there it is. Ah, there we go. Oh, no shit. I copied the link so I can post it to fucking Twitter. So we'll see. We'll see if my phone lets me do this. Technical difficulties. Yes, technical difficulties. Technically. I guess it's not really difficulties, it's just me being a dumbass, as per the usual. Quote tweet. Link. Tweet. There we go. Look at me being a YouTuber. Hello, Redding. Hello, hello, hello. I am back again in a different building, in a different house, in a different county, in a different town. Not a different state, not a different country. But yeah, I'm going up in the world. I'm like doing all the adult shit. Here, let me get rid of YouTube there. But yeah, I was bored. Yeah, I'm not in a different planet. I'm still very much on planet Earth. Unfortunately. We'll see how long it is before I have to start playing Fortunate Sons. I say that, but I'm a type 1 diabetic. They won't accept me. They won't. I won't pass the physical. Gosh, if anyone ends up watching this without the context, they are going to be so confused. I'm kind of hoping you get the context. Morally because I don't want to get into it any more than that one joke. But I love living on the planet Earth. I don't want to live on this planet anymore. So yeah, I'm here. I'm still alive. I have model stuff because I'm an HO guy now. Oh, that's the thing I forgot to do. I forgot to go grab the model shit, which is currently upstairs. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go grab my Twains. All right, we got the first of the Twains. But we still have more Twains to grab. Twains! All right, crisis averted. We got the trains. The trains are got. Okay. For a minute, I was starting to wonder if I had to scroll to see the chat. Because it's there. But, I don't know. Whatever. Anyway. I got the trains. Oh, this is actually just the rolling stock. But I also got the trains. And I guess I also accidentally grabbed a Christmas card with the trains. Oh well. Look at him. Look at him. Even in the box, it's beautiful. Now, this is not going to be like this Toby is unique. It is Toby at this point, by the way. Like, I have customized it, but I've done something odd. He's kind of in his like BR condition. However, he doesn't have BR markings, nor does he have BR numbers. Now, he never wore his BR number in real life. At least not my headcanon version of Toby, which was the one that was retired in 1949. I'm not entirely sure what his actual number was, but it's not the same one that Audrey made his Toby from. And that's because I needed a Toby that worked in both one of the harbors and on the Wisbech and Upwell. So I made sure that the engine that was going to be my Toby was the one that was retired in 1949, and Toby just arrives 2 years earlier in my headcanon. that locomotive never wore its BR number. My thought process is once Toby got to the Northwestern, they very quickly covered up the BR markings, and that was it until he got repainted at the end after the events of Dirty Objects. So, here he is in a very worn out condition. He has no windows, or at least he has no glass in his windows. They've been knocked out. I went to one of the Northlands event, and I saw one guy did put like the string on the bell. I do want to do that yet. Now that I've seen it, I think part of me is almost like, nah, leave it off. Make it another, effect of him just getting absolutely beat up in BR. So yeah. Honestly, I don't care if an engine never worked in an area before. I'd just say they did anyways. I don't disagree with that. I just don't do that personally. I like having the real world history of the locomotives match up. And in this case, it was really easy to make it match up somewhat. I mean, Toby works in Ipswich instead of Yarmouth. However, everything else lines up. And the fact that he only comes 2 years earlier doesn't change things too much, I'd be more worried if he came like 2 or 3 years later instead, in order to make it that, because like I think the one that Audrey turned into Toby never even worked on the Wisbeck and Upwell. It only worked in Yarmouth, because that's where he saw them. That's where they went on vacation and saw Toby. So, but I like working in all that real world stuff. So that's what I do. But another thing that I've bitten the bullet on is I'm giving all my engines full names, names that actual engines would get. And Toby is just like Railway Mania did. He is Tobias Quarry. And my headcanon is that Tobias Quarry is the father of Jabez Quarry. And he didn't open, Jabez founded Anofa Quarry, but Tobias founded quarries up in the Ulfstead area that formed the old Ulfstead mining network. Oh yeah, did you hear about Reading Railroad 2102 coming back to service? I didn't, but I don't pay too much attention to that sort of stuff. So I wouldn't, I typically don't hear about that stuff. But as far as Tobias Quarry, he founded one or maybe two of the mines up in the old Ulfstead mining network that was present. Will he be given a face? I am going to get, for now, no. The default will be no, but I am going to make faces for the locomotives. The thing is that I want to make an operational Farquhar layout, and eventually the Farquhar layout is like my compromise. The main goal is to have a operational northwestern region layout that fits in as much of the northwestern region as possible. At least the western portion of the main line and Thomas's branch line. So, and for the operations, I am not going to have faces, because that is when it's, Sodor is a real railway that operates realistically, and it's just a freelance British railway at that point. It's just that I am working off the same freelance that Audrey used. Would Tobias, the man, have been the man who started what became Bertram's mine? Possibly. At the very least, I haven't totally figured out Bertram yet. There are some parts of my headcanon map that haven't fully been developed. For instance, I might have the TV series Mid-Sodor as like a separate narrow gauge railway from the railway series Mid-Sodor, and might just give it a different name. Or I might just put the TV series Mid-Sodor engines on the railway series Mid-Sodor. I'm not sure yet. If so, Bertram's mine would never meet up with the Ulfstead mining network. I don't think. It's possible. It's possible. I haven't figured all that stuff out entirely. Like, I'm not sure Toby's tramway is going to be a thing at all as far as his TV series tramway. Because I was considering working that in as its own separate thing, and just it has no association with Toby whatsoever. But the more I think about it, the more I think of just not having it at all. Because a lot of that, I think the locations on Toby's branch line that I most would want to integrate, I can just put in between Farquhar and Ulfstead. So we'll see how Bertram's mine happens. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to go down. But this brings up good discussion, because the thing that I'm currently on the kick on is figuring out the working timetable for the Farquhar branch. Now, I am by no means going to bore all you with the minutia of trying to figure out the exact times, but something that I like discussing is the traffic that travels on the branch line. And I feel like that's something that's easier to discuss without being bogged down by the minutia of exact times. Because that's stuff that, like, a lot of Thomas fans that just try to be, like, half realistic are actually interested in. Because, it's, okay, if I'm doing a series, what trains would be realistic to see running on the branch line? Most of the Thomas fandom does not care about the exact timetable. That's just me being a fucking weirdo. However, a lot of the Thomas fandom is actually at least somewhat interested in the actual traffic happening on the branch line. Like Stone and Milk. Those two are obvious. Everyone knows that Stone is a big traffic on the Farquhar branch. I think a lot of people realize that Milk is important traffic on the Farquhar branch. I don't think a lot of people really understand how the Milk trains work. However, I think just about everyone at this point realizes Thomas or Daisy takes a milk van and there is a dairy at Elsbridge. Though some people are under the consideration that the dairy is at Tidmouth, the dairy is not at Tidmouth. The bottling plant is at Tidmouth. Hence where the Tidmouth milk tankers come from. But I do want to kind of go over the traffic that's going to be going on my branch line, especially since it's really no longer the Farquhar branch line. The Farquhar branch line is what you'd call it if it stopped at Farquhar. I've extended it to Olmsted. Watching the day on Audrey's Railway DVD, I figured I may not let Percy go up to the quarry, as he himself would say. Mavis makes a... yes. I imagine Toby is the only... of the Farquhar trio, I think Toby is the only one who... Actually, Toby even might. Because he's not an Edward grandpa. He is don't give a fuck grandpa. So I think all three of them might swear. Toby might be the most controlled of it. I imagine Thomas swears all the fucking time. Like, he'll say fuck 5 times in a row. And he'll call that a sentence. Percy, I think Percy has spent most of his working years, I say most of his working years, most of his pre-Sodor working years, all of his pre-Sodor working years, in factories, industrial plants, and workshops. So I think Percy is kind of like Duncan in the fact that he's been around a lot of like roughnecks, so he has roughneck speech, but he's also like got so much Peter Sam energy that they kind of balance each other out. So he does swear enough that, it's normal for him, but at the same time, it's still shocking when he says it. And then Toby, I imagine, will tell you not to swear, and then he'd like get into a wreck and say, "Oh fuck." So yeah. As far as those three, I think all three of them swear. Thomas, you'd tell him not to swear, and he'd be like, "I don't give a fuck. What you say is right. It's just a fucking word." Percy would, he'd be apologetic. Toby would just have enough sense to not swear in front of people that don't want to be sweared in front of, but would let loose around Thomas and Percy because he knows neither of them actually give a fuck. So yeah. Daisy, though. I'm not sure about Daisy. Daisy would keep a professional demeanor on the outside, but I feel like as soon as you get her behind closed doors, she will cuss you out as if like you've never been cussed out before. Mavis, I have no fucking clue. Mavis actually probably wouldn't swear. I'm gonna say Mavis probably doesn't swear. I think Mavis is the clean one. She definitely has a more... Holy crap, it's been a while. What's up, Rudy? How you doing? I'm doing good. I'm in a new house. I'm in this house by myself. A month ago, that wasn't the case. My great-grandmother, she passed away. So I was living with her. She was 95, so it's like it's yeah, what's happens, life and death, they're things. It hit me the day it happened, but after that it's been like, yeah, what am I gonna do? Prolong the life that she really was kind of tired of living. um, and now I have her house, kinda. It's my mom's, but my mom is a nice person, and also there's not enough room at our house. Yes. If it was not for her, I would not be into Thomas and Friends or Transformers. At least I don't think so. She was the one that got me my first wooden railway locomotive and my first Transformer. So she was pretty big in that. Now, I did have a Thomas and Friends VHS tape before that wooden railway engine, and I watched the crap out of it. It was definitely my favorite, like, VHS that we had. Um, However, that was the only exposure to Thomas the Tank Engine that I had up until she got me the Wooden Railway, Skarloey, and Thomas. And that's when it just boomed. Um, and then she also got me and my brother our first Transformers on top of that. And again, before that, I had no interaction with Transformers. Um, and those are my two biggest, like, fandoms that I'm in. And those two have basically created the tone for everything else that I've gotten into. Like, I would not be into things like Marvel and DC if it wasn't for Transformers. I know that sounds weird, but it's because I'm into things like Transformers that opened me up to Marvel and DC, and Star Wars and all that stuff. It was basically all because of Transformers. Thomas really had nothing to do with any of those. Um, Thomas may have Thomas may have had some help in getting me into Doctor Who because there was so much crossover with Doctor Who, and it's just like the British stuff. But I mean, again, Transformers, and just by that point, also Star Wars and Star Trek and Marvel and DC. Um, like uh, they all pulled their weight in getting me into Doctor Who as well. Probably more so than the fact that, like, oh, it's British. Transformers, perhaps? Yes, I've seen that. Um, hey, I like Transformers that turn into trains. I just wish Takara wasn't charging $400 a piece for them. For context, Hasbro and Takara both co-own Transformers, and Takara has this line called Masterpiece, which is Transformers done to super cartoon accuracy, and they're super complex and like collector's grade figures. They are not the toys that you see like on the store on the rack. These are huge. They come with so many accessories. They have die cast in them. They have rubber tires. Um, they're to exact scale. Um, and anyway, back in the late 80s, over in Japan, a Japanese exclusive character called Raiden came out, and he was a combiner who his 6 components all turned into trains, and they were the train bots. And now Takara is doing masterpiece versions of the train bots to HO scale, and they can fit on HO track, and they transform, and they combine, and each component is $400 a piece. There are 6 components. It's ridiculous. I love trains. I love Transformers, but I can't justify that. It's hard enough to justify 170 for this. And don't get me wrong, this is beautiful. It was worth the money. Except for the fact that I don't think it has DCC equipment in it. especially since it says mainline on the bottom. So it definitely doesn't have DCC equipment. So I'm going to have to like solder DCC equipment in there. But it's still fucking gorgeous. And it's Jubilee, by the way. Yeah, I didn't have Knapford as, I'd say, a kid. I mean, I did get it before I was 18, but like I got it when I was like in junior year of high school. For reference, I'm about to turn 21 in a few days. But yeah, I didn't have Knapford, and I didn't have the only version of Tidmouth I had was the deluxe roundhouse. Now I have the deluxe roundhouse, the Tidmouth Sheds version of the roundhouse, and the classic roundhouse. I have 3 fucking roundhouses. How the hell did that happen? The only genuine TWR items I had were the Works Shed, Archstone Bridge, and Cranky. I did not have any genuine TWR track, except for what came with Destinations, which was very little. Like, I had genuine TWR ascending tracks, and then like 1 straight piece and an adapter. Everything else I had was like off-brand because it was cheap. But as far as Destinations, I did have like genuine TWR Destinations. Let's see, what Destinations did I have as a kid? I had the barrel loader as a kid. Cranky, the Knapford covered bridge, the mountain overpass, the washdown. I didn't have the Works Shed or the Archstone Bridge as a kid. Those I only got in my later years. Gosh, what? The Water Tower. I had that as a kid. I had Sudbury. As a kid. What else did I have? I'm starting to think I really didn't have too much. Oh, I had the clock tower. I had the clock tower. The sling bridge. Nothing else is coming to mind. I'm pretty sure I had more than what I just mentioned. But honestly, I didn't. The main fun came with the track. Me and my mom could break out some pretty fancy track plans. So I think the actual track plans itself is where the real fun came. Oh, the Quarry Mine Tunnel. That was another one. That's another one I had as a kid. But yeah, but now my TWR collection has exploded. I have like all the big ones. You know, I have all 3 major designs of the roundhouse. I have 2 Henry's tunnels, the mountain tunnel, the sawmill. And when I say the sawmill, I mean the sawmill and dumping depot, not the log loader, but like the big, huge one. Basically, if it's a destination that's typically hard to work into a TWR layout, I own it. Because when I do go TWR, I just dive into the whole craziness side of it. So yeah. But the thing I really wanted to talk about is operations on the Farquhar branch line. Because that's what I'm really, really focusing on. right now. And I'm not going to get too technical, mostly because I don't know too much myself. But it's mainly, I'm kind of going to go over I'm going to go over my headcanon version of the branch line and, you know, the traffic that will travel on it as a result. So I think the best thing to do is to start with a rough map of the branch line. And we're not really going to draw anything out, but I mean, it's pretty basic. It's roughly just, you know, take the Audrey branch line, and then we, you know, add a station and extend it a bit. I think the first huge difference with the branch line, and when I say the first huge difference, not the most noticeable difference, but just the difference we get to first when traveling from Knapford, is the addition of Maithwaite. And that is after Elsbridge. That is after Elsbridge and along the line up to Hackenbeck Tunnel. And it's just a small one-track station. For one thing, the entire line is single track in my headcanon. There is no double track on the branch line. The branch line does not justify having 2 tracks. The main line barely justifies having 2 tracks sometimes, because it's not a major main line. It's the most important line on the Northwestern region because it's not a big railway. However, it is not a major main line in the entirety of Great Britain. And the only reason I have a hard stance on it's having 2 tracks is because that is how British railways genuinely worked. They didn't like having single line tracks. They were kind of afraid of a single line track. However, branch lines never had the traffic to have a double track branch line was too ridiculous even for them. So Thomas's branch line is going to be entirely single track. If there is a section of double track, it is between Toryrick and Elsbridge. And maybe another section when we get up closer to Hackenbeck and Farquhar. But that's only because of the Ulfstead extension. However, I don't think there's going to be. I'm thinking it's going to stay single track all the way to Elsbridge, or all the way to Ulfstead. Also because that's just less work when modeling the branch line. Of course, I'm nowhere near modeling anything beyond Farquhar Station itself. But should I ever get to that point, should I ever get beyond Farquhar, we're gonna have a completely single track. And looks like I lost everybody. Fun. I guess it should be worth saying, not that anyone is here to hear it, we don't have to talk about operations. That's just kind of the thing I've been feeling recently. That's been my itch. This is more for people on the rewatch because no one's watching right now. So, we'll see how this goes. maybe I'll try to see if I can drag some more people in. Do. There we go. Sitting here all by myself. Oh, should I work on Farquhar Shed? Down, 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 down. Da 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 All my friends have left me all alone. All right. Well, we'll keep discussing things for the sake of the rewatch. For the sake of the rewatch. All right. So, basic map is Audrey's map with Maithwaite located along the stretch of track between Elsbridge and Hackenbeck Tunnel. Maithwaite Quarry. Is Maithwaite Quarry going to be a thing? We'll get back to that. So then we get to Farquhar. Father Farquhar. And then, so once we get to Farquhar, the line diverges. There's the tramway up to the quarry. Obviously, ooh, we got a viewer back. Hello, viewer. We have a person that's listening to me. You're the only one. Be sure to say hi. I'm lonely. All right, so back to my basic Farquhar headcanon map. And I lost him. I chased him off. Or her. All right. So the line, of course, goes up to the quarry. That's a given. But my version of Farquhar is going to have the Ulstead extension. Now, just beyond Farquhar is going to be Fell Goods Brewery. And that will actually be a rail-served industry. It won't be before the Ulstead extension, but come the Ulstead extension, they use the Ulstead extension as an excuse to finally put in a rail service at the brewery itself, instead of them needing to hike the goods to and from the goods station. So yeah, the brewery will be served by the railway, and the line creeps up from the railway, and then the line diverges. One line goes on to the actual village of Ulfstead itself, and then the other path goes up to Ulfstead Castle, where it meets with the terminus of the actual Ulfstead branch line, which connects to the main line at Marin. Thomas will occasionally run, not necessarily Thomas, but there will be excursion trains that run up to Ulfstead Station, or Ulfstead Castle, I should say. Ulfstead Station is kind of a different beast of its own. Now, at Ulfstead Village Station itself, the line diverges once again, kinda. Really, it just continues, but the station there has terminus lines, and the goods stuff happens basically in the northern part of Ulfstead, while the passenger station is on the southern end of Ulfstead. And past the goods yard, the line continues up to Ulfstead coal mine. So the line does continue past Ulfstead, but it's kind of in the same way that, like, it's kind of works the same way as Farquhar, except it's like there's a much bigger gap between the goods yard and the passenger station. And Daisy's shed is located at the passenger station for Ulfstead. She gets reallocated to Ulfstead because Daisy runs her her stopping trains from Ulfstead to Knapford. Thomas runs a combination of through trains from Farquhar to Tidmouth and a few stopping trains from Farquhar to Knapford. Thomas does not go up to Ulfstead regularly. There are some occasional services, and sometimes he fills in for Daisy if she's needs repairs and something like that. You know, plans change. The railway is constantly working in crisis mode. And that is the case of any railway. So that's the basic map of Thomas's branch. I'm still not sure on Maithwaite Mine. However, it's abandoned either way, so it really doesn't make a difference in the operations. It's just whether it was once operational or not. So yeah, maybe. Maybe. But I have no clue. Other modifications is Hackenbeck, by the time of the Ulstead extension, will be an actual station instead of just a halt. So yeah, nothing really much more than that. But that is Thomas's branch. Also, I think there is going to be some version of like the coastal bypass from Knapford Harbor going up to Tidmouth, but and with Knapford Beach Station and all that. But that again, that really doesn't affect too much of the operations of the Farquhar branch. Knapford Beach Station would be purely a like special occasion, like that station is only used if like someone commissions the railway to take a train down there, you know. That's probably where Thomas took the Vicar's Sunday School in Percy's Promise and where Percy picked them up from. So, you know, it's a very rarely used station and would probably be cut. That part of the line would probably be cut during the beaching acts, though knowing the Northwestern Railway, they might reopen it later on. Or might not. I you know what? It might just get axed. I think that's what'll happen. It'll just get axed, and all services to it will cease. And it's just an excuse to have it on the map, because so I can, you know, work it into canon. So that's the headcanon branch line. So not much has changed, which is good. That is a good thing. I am debating the idea of mainline access to the quarry. It's something that we see a lot in the show. However, it only works if the stone cutting operation is moved to the quarry, which I don't want to do, because most of the trains we see heading out of Farquhar Quarry are not cut stone, and moving non-cut stone wouldn't happen. So yeah, I'm still debating that. There's a possibility that the main line, that I say main line access, but what I really mean is big engine access. There might be big engine access to the quarry via the Ulstead branch, but I doubt it. It's just too much. I'd rather just write up those appearances to just CGI inconsistencies. Yeah, I think that's just what I'm gonna do. Yeah. Brain thoughts. Oh yeah, and there are gonna be other little closed mines down up there, and I do think Bertram's mine might end up being one of them. All that is close enough to Arlesdale that Bertram's mine could just be the Arlesdale ballast mine, or what is the Arlesdale ballast mine. I forget what it used to be. Or heck, maybe even Crosney Curran or Cosney Howin. The Cosney whatever on the Midsodor. But I'm not sure where that mine ends up geologically. offhand, so I'd have to double check that. But it could be one of those two more eastern quarries. It's just I can't figure out a good reason to have branch line access unless the standard gauge line predated the mid-Sodor, which is possible. It's possible the Ulfstead mining network predates the mid-Sodor. I'm just not entirely sure. So, traffic. Obviously, passengers. 10 passenger, according to the iOS book, Sodor, It's People, History, and Railways, there are 10 trains a day going in and out of Farquhar, plus 4 trains visiting the quarry. When I say 10 trains at Farquhar, what I really mean is 10 trains each way. 10 departures plus 10 arrivals, plus Toby visiting the quarry 4 times at least. Also, according to the iOS book, 7 trains serve Dryall. We know there are at least 2 services to Tidmouth. I'm adding a 3rd service to Tidmouth, worked by Thomas. So Thomas will work 3 services to Tidmouth. Plus he and Daisy will share the stopping trains. Daisy's trains starting from Ulfstead, going to Knapford, returning to Ulfstead. Thomas's trains starting from Farquhar, going to Knapford, returning to Farquhar. So, if I want to give them an even number of trains, Daisy will work 5 stopping services from Ulfstead to Knapford and back, which would mean that has 10 trains passing through Farquhar. And then Thomas would run 3 through trains to Tidmouth and 2 stopping trains to Knapford. Got a viewer and lost a viewer. And I named this Return of the King. I wonder if people are just expecting Lord of the Rings. if I'm like, is that what's happening? Am I attracting the wrong audience with my title? Am I doing the algorithm wrong? Hello, one viewer again. We don't have to talk about operations. That's just the thing I've been on a kick on. But yeah, I've roughly got passenger trains worked out. What's more interesting is goods trains. Viewer, if you don't want to talk about operations, tell me in the chat. But if you don't tell me, I don't know. So I'm just going to keep on blubbering on about operations. So there are operations. So of course there's the harbor down at Knapford, which would basically specialize purely in just stone. It would basically just export stone and some general goods. Then there's the Dryall Goods Station, which really, Dryall Goods Station is just general goods. It's just the goods that the town of Dryall needs. It's Dryall really doesn't have any major manufacturers, so it's just the only reason there's a dedicated goods station is because is because they moved the passenger station and they had this passenger station left over. So yeah. Got another viewer. Cool. Welcome. I'm talking about the potential operations of my headcanon version of the Farquhar branch line. For now, at least, unless someone wants to change the subject. So, then Toriric. I'm not entirely sure what the status of Toriric mines are going to be at the time that I'm modeling. However, I know they get closed. They produced lead for a while. Oh yeah, I don't know if you use trains still, but there's a really good trains route on the DLS that just released called... So right now, the house that I am living in does not have proper internet. This is only possible because I have unlimited data on my phone. Hence why I'm using my phone to stream. And I only have unlimited data on my phone because this house does not currently have internet. Once I have internet, I will definitely get back into trains again. But I have not been on trains in months. Because when I moved into this house, it was someone else's house at the time, and it did not have internet. Now it is my house, due to the fact that life happens, and then it doesn't happen. So, and now because all of those bills and services are being canceled, I can now just start from scratch, and I don't have to go through mental gymnastics to make sure that the 95-year-old is not paying for internet that she'll never use, and that I am. So now I just start a plan from scratch, and I don't need to go through mental gymnastics. So I will be getting internet soon once all of the whole estate things are dealt with. But I don't want to like jump the gun on things and mess things up for my mom and my great uncle, who are kind of dealing with the whole, breaking up of the whole, distribution of stuff with the will and all that. So for now, I'm internetless. But as soon as I am not internetless, I am hopping back on trains, and I will probably download a lot of American and British stuff from the DLS. But for now, I don't have that stuff. If I did, I'd be on it right now. But I don't, unfortunately. Where was I? The branch line. The branch line, the branch line. So we were at Droyal, now we're at Toriric. Yes. So in later years, they find uranium at Toriric. So that's a commodity we have. We have general goods, and we have uranium, which I'm pretty sure is used for nuclear weapons. Oh yeah, also fun fact, the Denver and Rio Grande Western had narrow gauge steam locomotives that were still on roster until 1981. Good for them. Keep those steam locos running. Keep them in actual service and not running on preserved lines. Oh yeah. Did you see the Jubilee? she's beautiful. Her name is even glorious. I was unfortunately incorrect with the fact that she was built at Vickers Shipyards. Glorious, I mean, the Glorious, the ship she was named after. I wish I wish that HMS Glorious was built at Vickers Shipyards, because then that would make this all the more poignant. However, but yeah, just a nice little train show find. And yes, she is sick. I had her perched up on my countertop with my Bachmann Thomas coaches, and it was just such a sight. Sometimes these coaches kind of look dopey. Maybe not dopey, but just they look very toyish. And then sometimes they just look fucking epic. And I don't know how. But yeah, I should stop trying to hold coaches as if they are connected together. But yeah, I don't know how these coaches somehow manage to look as epic as they do. You can tell I don't know how angling things in a camera view works. But yeah. But yeah, I think, you know what? I think the engine pulling them makes them look better than they are. I think by themselves, they just kind of look eh. But, you know, you get an epic engine in front of them, and all of a sudden, they're beautiful. So converted some of their standard gauge 280 locomotives into 282 narrow gauge Mikados. Ooh. Fancy. I think. I don't know. Back on my ongoing subject about the commodities that are traveling along the Farquhar branch. General merchandise, uranium, milk, both raw milk going to the dairy, and then like not raw milk, pasteurized milk, leaving the dairy for Tidmouth and Tinkers. So yeah, milk at Ellsbridge, and then also probably a lot of other farm produce from around the areas. McColl's farm will be somewhere along the line. Oh, flour! There's a flour mill at Ellsbridge, so there'll be outgoing flour. So there'll be outbound flour trains from Ellsbridge, and then from Farquhar, we have a lot of shit from Farquhar. Coal and oil coming inbound, both for the engines and for the local industries. I have come to the conclusion that the oil tanker that we see on Audrey's layout is, I should say not the oil tanker, because that implies I'm talking about like this kind of tanker, but the oil depot that is located in like the two sidings. have you watched some of Biscuit Cat Productions series? The name sounds familiar, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I have no clue. Maybe. Maybe not. But I feel like that channel name sounds familiar. So at the most, I might have seen some of their videos. But I'm not sure. I'm confident that if I have watched any of their series, I didn't watch, like, the whole thing. They created the really cool Railway Series Trains route that I recommended to you. Okay. Maybe that's where I recognize the name from. Maybe not from YouTube, but from, like, train sites. I know that was a while ago. I'm not sure if I ever actually did download that route. Ooh. Ooh. Oh well. Honestly, there's so much Trains Timeless content. By the time I get internet, I'll be behind again. I'm in a constant state of trying to be really on top of all the Trains content and then falling behind rapidly and then needing to get caught back up. There's too much. There are too many people. There are too many people that are good at things. It's called Tedious Tales of Sodor. Okay, I'll have to keep that in mind. Yeah, I don't think I've seen that, but I'll keep that in mind, and maybe add them to the to watch list, because you start running out of things to watch on YouTube when you have no internet. But on the other hand, it means I've been focusing a lot more on things that I actually want to work on. Like figuring out my locomotive roster and timetables and operations and all that. Hence why this live stream is here. Because I really wanted to... They've only made 4 episodes, but they're certainly amazing ones. Awesome. Yeah, I'll keep Tedious Tales of Sodor in mind. Which reminds me, I think Sudrian is going through a second kind of rebranding. Because before it was Sudrian, it was the Sodor Saga. But I abandoned that title and went with Sudrian. And now I think I'm going with the title Sudrian, A Railway Story. And I specifically went with that A Railway Series subtitle to kind of complement and contrast the title of the Railway Series. Just because I think, you know, the Railway Series, the title really implies the idea of anthology series. A railway story really makes the idea of, okay, it's one singular story. And the reason I added this subtitle is so I can put this subtitle on any spin-off that I might make and kind of create kind of a brand. You know, I could do Penzie, a railway story, you know, and have a series set on the Pennsylvania Railroad if I really wanted to. Will I? Probably not. But it's something that I want to do. So yeah, going on with the branch line operations. So with inbound, so yeah, we have coal for the local coal merchant, and oil for the local fuel merchant, I guess is what you could call them. Fuel company, I guess, is probably a better phrase. Then we'd have the stuff for Fell Goods Brewery, equipment for the quarry, equipment for Enofa Quarry, empties. Obviously, we need to bring in empties in order to take away stone. And, ooh. Yeah, that wasn't fun. Oh, shoot. There might actually be a right and a wrong way to put him on. I mean, there's not a wrong way to put him back on, but like, it's not like the same in both directions. I mean, it might as well be, but I don't like being the man behind the curtain and being able to see everything behind the curtain. So yeah, I'm hoping I put him back on the correct way around, because I don't know which way he was. So yeah, and of course, Farquhar also has cattle and sheep and milk. Parcels, that's going to be an interesting one. I'm not sure how I'm going to handle parcels. And then wool and stuff like that goes up to Ulfstead, gets worked up to Ulfstead, where it's taken to the textile mills. So Ulfstead will produce textiles, as well as that's where the big coal trains will come from. And the way coal trains are going to work is coal will be sent out from Ulfstead. It'll go to Tidmouth. From Tidmouth, it will be sent to the coaling plant at Crosby. And the coaling plant is basically, it takes the coal and it cleans it. They have a process where they call it cleaning coal, but coal is never really clean. So the coal from Ulfstead will go to Tidmouth. From Tidmouth, it will go to the Crosby coaling plant, and then from the Crosby coaling plant, it will be distributed to wherever it needs to be, including Farquhar, which seems like it's going a long way just to come back, but really, when a business at Farquhar or Ulfstead puts in an order for coal, they're not putting it in with the coal mine, they're putting it in with the coal plant. And the coal mine straight out, the coal straight out of the mine isn't necessarily ready to be burned, or isn't necessarily good to be burned yet. They don't know what kind of grade of coal it is. So they have to send it to the coaling plant, where it goes through its process, and they divide it up and say, okay, this is the high-end stuff, this is the stuff that Henry in his old shape could use. And like, this is the shitty stuff. It's like, this is the stuff that we won't even consider giving to the railway. And from there, you know, a customer can order coal and they're like, okay, these are the grades. What do you want? And they can say, I want this grade of coal. And then they can be like, all right, Northwestern, we need so many coal trucks for this order. And then we'll load these coal trucks and then we'll send them out. And yeah. Or maybe they won't even do that. Maybe the coal yard will just be at, yeah, most likely the coal yard will just be at Crosby, or yeah, at the Crosby coaling plant. And so they really don't need to get empties from the empty yard at Tidmouth. They would just pull them from their own yard there at the plant, though they'd be owned by BR at that point, obviously, or the Northwestern. I'm thinking the Northwestern in my series will get privatized in like the early 70s. Basically, some shit's gonna go down. BR is gonna try and bring the hammer down on the Northwestern region for one final time, and the Sudrians are not going to respond well to that. And some shit is gonna go down, and then Sudrians are gonna be like, "Fuck it, we're our own independent country now," and they're like, "Fine, you can privatize your goddamn railway and run it to the ground by using fucking steam engines, like you're fucking idiots." And then they are, and they're gonna be great. And their railway is going to be better than BR ever was. And Sodor will finally no longer have to deal with British people. Or more accurately, they'll no longer have to deal with English people. Because they're fine with British people, because they are British. But they are not English, they are Sudrian. At least that's what a Sudrian would tell you. So yeah, looking at the several little industries that I've kind of discussed here, coal and stone are going to be the two biggest commodities on the branch. Bananas. Anyway. So yes, coal and stone will be the two biggest commodities on the branch. I've kind of already described how coal works. You know, goes from the mine, goes to the coaling plant. From the coaling plant, it gets distributed to its customers. Some of those customers being on the Farquhar branch. So we'll probably see coal trains going down the branch, and we'll see individual coal cars coming up the branch for industries and for the service and for the engine service facilities. So stone, I mean, again, the stone, like we all really kind of understand how that one works because Audrey actually went over it. Uncut stone comes down to Farquhar, goes to the cutting sheds. Now, there is going to be excess like waste that can be used as ballast. And before the setup of the Arlesdale Railway, it probably was used as ballast by the railway. now in modern day, it's probably no longer used as railway ballast, but there are probably different construction contractors that will use the ballast in construction work, since ballast isn't just a railway thing. So again, stone will be taken to the cutting sheds. From there, it will be cut and loaded into wagons suited for these big blocks of stone. And from there, the stone will be taken, it'll either be taken by a branch line engine down to the harbor, or there'll be a stone train taken to Tidmouth by one of the Tidmouth engines will come up for a stone train to take down to Tidmouth. And that's going to be for stone that is getting distributed across the that's going to be going to either other locations on Sodor or to the mainland. It's not going to go to the harbor. I've come to the stance that Tidmouth Harbor does not deal with the export of stone. We will. So Tidmouth Harbor's main main enterprises are going to be either bauxite, I think that's how you pronounce it, or alumina, one of the two. So it'll either be, it comes in as bauxite, gets turned into alumina at Tidmouth, and then gets taken up to Peel-Godred, or the alumina will just come in and then just go up to Peel-Godred. But either way, aluminium related things will come in to Tidmouth. Of course, there's fish, and shipbuilding, ship construction. In the Sodor universe, Vickers Shipbuilding and Engineering, or Vickers Shipbuilders and Engineers, whatever. Vickers Shipbuilding does not exist. Audry, or not Audry, A.W. Dry and Co. Shipbuilder, or A.W. Dry Shipbuilding and Co. is the replacement for Vickers Shipbuilding. And that is because A.W. Dry & Co., as stated in the iOS book, did have experience in building ships, and that's kind of how they convinced the people of Tidmouth to let them build to set up shop and build the tramway there. So in my universe, they just end up taking over as the main shipbuilding force. And instead of the big shipyard at Barrow, Tidmouth becomes the shipyard. What about an air factory? You might have to what's the word I'm looking for? Elaborate. You might have to elaborate on that one, Redding. What is an air factory? Air? Okay, so this is like some pasta, noodles, railway, sort of shit. Okay. See, I need to realize what level of seriousness we're working with here. It's been so long since pasta noodles, since the pasta noodles railway. Oh, it's been so long since I've last streamed. Anyway. So yeah, stone and coal, those are the two big ones. The next biggest one is probably milk. Of course, raw milk comes out of Farquhar, and goes down to the dairy. Oh yeah, so you want to know about the pasta noodles' second locomotive? Sure. Let's hear about their second locomotive. Not that the pasta noodle, because the pasta noodles lore definitely hasn't gotten so complicated since its previous discussions. But while you do that, as far as milk traffic, raw milk goes to the dairy at Elsbridge. Then tankers of milk get brought from the dairy up to Farquhar, where a train from where a locomotive from Tidmouth will come up and will pick up the tankers to bring them down to Tidmouth with other goods. Cab forward, that's also a Garrett, which is also a double Farley, which is also a triplex, which is also a turbine steam locomotive that burns anthracite coal. Oh boy. Triplex locomotive is a locomotive that has 3 sets of cylinders / driver things, 2 under the engine and 1 under the tender. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. And anthracite coal locomotives have huge fireboxes. Oh hooray. This is going to be an absolute clusterfuck of a locomotive. Was called the quadruple fucking doink. Fancy coaches. Look, they fancy coaches. They beauty coaches. Beautiful. Except they can't couple because I put a KD on Toby and they hold into the mem couplings so well that I can't get it the fuck out. Blew up on the first test run while going under a 50-foot tunnel. Oh, is this why the Sodoran mainland never managed to make the tunnel to Vickerstown? Because the quadruple fucking doink blew up inside of it and caused it to collapse. Uh. Yeah, how did you know? Because I am psychic. I'm also a Jedi, and I'm also God. So I know things. Neil is the third locomotive. I'm guessing the reason Neil is numbered number 2 is because uh like barely any of these engines have existed at the same time. So, there's some engines share the same number because their predecessor blew up or fell off of a bridge. And then we'll just throw James in there just to rub salt in the wound. See, the real reason Henry stuck in the tunnel is because I don't know. There's actually 20 locomotives with the same number. The owner can't count. Redding, maybe you should just do live streams talking about pasta and noodles railway lore. I think you'd be much more successful than I am. Or maybe you do, and I'm just a ditz, and I haven't checked out your channel and seen them. I don't know. I'll make a goddamn wiki. You do that. And honestly, maybe you should, because I've lost track of the pasta noodles railway lore. Mm-hmm. Oh. But yeah, I'm really obsessed with Farquhar operations right now. It's kind of like consuming my every waking thought is how operations on the Farquhar branch line work. I can't wait to have an operational railway that I can actually do this shit with. Though sometimes it's kind of depressing looking up real railway practices and figuring out, oh, these types of trucks would never be used in stone traffic. Never. At all. And it's kind of sad. And it makes me depressed. But yeah, they're too tall. They're too tall for stone traffic. They want smaller wagons to be able to load the blocks in and out of. Basically, James tried to kill Genry so he could become God, and then succeeded, but then failed because the guaranteed connection gave the powers to Sir Handel. This is the new God. Sir Handel died, and the powers went to Stoner Truck. Then Sir Handel made every single locomotive 3 foot and every coach be bogey coaches and gave Duncan arms and legs. I think I remember parts of this now. Gosh, has it really been an hour and 40 minutes? It doesn't feel like that. But then Duncan wasn't satisfied with that, so he became a superhero, which pissed Thomas, Bill, and Ben off, so they became supervillains. Yeah, that sounds like a Thomas thing to do. Ba, 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 ba. I don't know, but something about this Brakeman just makes me very happy. I don't know why. And then the great coach heist of 2045 happened on March 1984. Nice. Very nice. Very, very nice. Which then forced Duck to unleash the Super Duck, which ended up throwing Thomas into space. The spiteful Brakeman is listening on with interest. Meanwhile, Duncan lost to Bill and Ben in an Uno game, which caused him to go into full-on hiding. I have a hard time reading. You see, I was essential, so I thought I never needed to learn how to read. This is so fucking cringy. But I don't care. I'm essential. I'm essential. Don't leave me. Don't. Okay, we're done with that shit. I don't know why. I just love this Brakeman so much. It looks so nice. It looks so cool. It looks like just a fucking dick. And then he even comes with, you can even just turn him into a flatbed. Just like that. And then you can make him not a flatbed. Meanwhile, Sir Handel was still compromising reality and fucking up everyone's lives until the Super Duck, Edward, Duck, Victor, and Tom Tipper all ganged up on him. You're saving the stream. I hope you know that. Because I fucking suck at this. It's the stoner trucks. Stone and coal. That's what I'm going to call these two. Stone and coal. Or should I call them coal and stone? Look, everyone. It's my new original characters. Stone and coal. Meanwhile, Thomas had managed to drift off so far that he found Audrey taking his 3 billion year nap and told him of everything. And then Audrey got so angry that he decided to end the universe. Because he saw what he had made and it was not good. No! You can't do it! So when Sir Handel was about to win, Audrey smacks him with the back of his hand and revert everything back to normal. No! A force more powerful than the snap. Oh yeah, and George was there with Thomas. Nice. Very nice. Very nice indeed. Oh. So the next most important traffic on the branch line will most likely be the wool and textiles. Wool will be brought up to the textile mills from Farquhar. And then said textiles will be brought back down to Farquhar. And they will probably be sent with the mixed goods down to Tidmouth. And James was cursed into working on the pasta noodles because he said that Sir Handel's blue paint sucked and his was better. I dropped stone. Or is it coal? I don't know. Oh, and Duncan was with Edward and the other guys. I love how pasta and noodles lore just, like, is so spontaneous. So yeah. Then there's beer. Stuff for beer comes to Farquhar. Beer leaves Farquhar. Oil comes up from Tidmouth to Farquhar. Then leaves Farquhar. It's actually really slow considering it goes over 2 billion plus years. I didn't say it was fast. I said it was spontaneous. Which is technically a different thing. They're also very similar. Ugh. Well, honestly, it's pretty slow. And I think I should turn in. I know nothing really has really happened, but yeah, that's also kind of why I want to turn in, because nothing has really happened, and I don't think anything's going to happen. Though I should go live more. At the very least, like, I should start like live streaming when I model. Ooh. I wonder if those Railway Series guys are still doing their modeling corner videos. Yeah. Just a thought that popped into my mind. Because they usually bring up a lot of railways stuff. I mean, if you want to end the stream, go ahead. That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking I'm going to end the stream. I'm not asking for your permission. I'm just explaining myself. Anyway, that being said, yeah, I think I'm gonna end it. But you know, I got to burn up 2 hours, so I'd say that's an absolute win. Anyway, guys, it was fun. Kinda. I mean, really, it was kind of boring, but you know, it was more fun than nothing. So, so all right. It was nice coming back. I'm sure more fun will be had once I start figuring out things to actually do during these now in the new environment. So, anyway, you know who the hell I am, and I'll see y'all next time.